Well, welcome to the Canes Corner podcast live on YouTube. I am Adam Gold, and it's a happy recap. And I've got a lot of energy thanks to this. My wife made me a cold brew, so let's go. We're not going to be here that long. You people are all crazy because it's darn near 2 o'clock in the morning. We're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. You can actually see the Aluminum Company logo in the corners of the screen. By all means, if you need home improvings on the exterior of that home, there is no better place. Customer service to die for. All right, Hurricanes win at 6-3. Let's try to go through as many things as we can. As always, I will indulge some questions. We try to keep this thing moving, try to get us out of here before the sun comes up. We'll do that. First things first. You can make the argument that tonight started Sunday. If you go back to the Anaheim game, the first period was dreadful, and then Carolina got to their game. Anaheim, I think, has the chance to be kind of a surprise playoff contender in the West. If they get good goaltending, I think they actually can be very good. They got good goaltending against Carolina Sunday night. The Dostal kid looked very good. He was drafted in, third round in 18. So, I mean, I don't know if he's a kid or not. I don't know exactly how old he is, but he played very well. And for what it's worth, though, I thought Carolina was excellent in the second and third periods, just couldn't get all the way back. But a couple of things happened in the game. One is that they started to get their legs under them and they looked like the Hurricanes. And the other is that I thought the power play started to get better. And in the third period, they scored 2 power play goals. And they got it to 4-3. Ultimately, they lose at 6-3. And today, I think you saw, while the power play is still not awesome, they're starting to be able to get it in the zone. And they're starting to set up and create some things. So they scored 3 power play goals tonight. And if you go back to the last 2 power plays in the Anaheim game, that's 5 power play goals in their last 9 tries. Now we're going to go through droughts. And Tony DeAngelo, for the most part, is a big part of what they need on their power play. We'll get to Tony in a minute. But Tony wasn't on the ice for the 2 power play goals in the third period tonight. And I'm not sure that we're not going to see a little bit more of that going forward, and we'll get to some reasons why. But the power play looked good. Penalty kill is a work in progress, but I think you see that at the beginning of any season. It's very hard. Penalty kill is about rhythm like anything else. And right now, I don't think Carolina's in a penalty killing rhythm. The goaltending has not been spectacular. Antti Ranta allowed a questionable goal on that Philip Zadina goal. That should not, you can't allow that goal. Ranta had to make some saves going forward. So it's good that he recovered, but that was not a good goal to allow. And that was 17 seconds after Jacob Slavin's shorthanded goal that made it 2-1 Carolina. And I thought that kind of just was a total deflating moment. And for a period there, San Jose had kind of gotten their feet back under them, but they're not very good. This was the way the game was supposed to go. Check out some of these numbers. Carolina, 42-16 shots on goal. 91-35 shot attempts. 91-35. High danger scoring chances, 21-9. Garden variety scoring chances, 44-16. Carolina was dominant tonight. And again, that's the way it's supposed to go. So far, these the 3 games in the West Coast, you got 2 wins and a loss. You played, I say, 5 great periods and a half of another. We're getting closer. This was a good indication of what Carolina can be. Again, consider the opponent, and it's going to be super tough on Thursday in Seattle. I'll take some of your questions in a minute. I want to go through the goals, and I also want to talk about some players. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rank the periods, I thought the second period was Carolina's best. Second period was almost silly. It was so good. And the first period, Carolina outshot San Jose like 18-5. But I thought Carolina was better in the second period, albeit for a little bit of time, San Jose kind of, they took the game over. Well, but they scored the 2 goals. They just took advantage of some mistakes, but I thought they were getting back in it. But for the most part, Carolina was it was silly that Carolina only got the 1 goal. First period was the second best. Third period, when they scored 4 goals, was to me their third best period. But it is what it is. 4 shorthanded goals on the season in 4 games. Jacob Slavin has 2 of them. Sebastian Aho has 1. Teuvo Teravainen has the other. Quickly on Slavin. I don't know how many people saw it, but on ESPN.com, there is a piece that was sort of one of those rank the top 100 NHL players, and Jacob Slavin was 79th, I believe, on the list. 79th or 78th, one of the two. Doesn't really matter. But worse than being 79th on the list, he was the 21st ranked defenseman on the list. So here are some of the defensemen that were ranked ahead of Jacob Slavin. Hampus Lindholm. I mean, he's really good. But Jacob Chychrun, again, he's really good. Seth Jones, he used to be really good. Mikhail Sergachev, really good. I like Mikhail Sergachev. Chris Letang, he was great before electricity. How about teammate Brent Burns? We love Brent Burns. Nobody doesn't love Brent Burns. But seriously? Let's see. Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes is excellent. Is he Jacob Slavin? He's a great offensive player. Just leave it at that. Mo Seider? Ooh, how much cider have you had? Erik Karlsson? Look, if Erik Karlsson had 101 points last year, but he was also a minus 26. So how great could he have been? He's a great offensive player. Dougie Hamilton was also on this list ahead of Jacob Slavin. At this point, we got to stop fighting City Hall, but who would you rather have? 100 times in a row, right? Anyway, Jacob Slavin is not the 21st best defenseman in the league. I think he's a top 50 player in the league, and I think he's a top 10 defenseman in the league, but maybe he just has to score more goals. So there you go. He's got 2, probably should have had 3 if it were not for Mackenzie Blackwood. So let's see what else I wanted to talk about. I actually never got a chance to post my 3 stars online. I like to do that. When we're at home, they are almost always different from the stars in the building. Jarvis 1, Slavin 2, Marty Necas 3, but man, that could have been Teuvo Teravainen, could have been Jesperi Kotkaniemi, who, again, I thought was very good tonight. Seth Jarvis, I do want to spend some time on Seth because the legend just keeps growing. 21 minutes on the ice, led all forwards in ice time. He won 4 faceoffs, didn't lose a faceoff tonight, took a defensive zone PK faceoff in the first period. What can he do? The future, she is bright for number 24. And the 2 goals he scored tonight, I love both of them for different reasons. The first one, and we'll go through them in a sec. Well, we might as well go through them right now. We'll start with both Jarvis goals, and then we'll go through the rest of them. The first goal, it just shows you his willingness to be in places that you would not expect a Seth Jarvis to be. He likes to operate in tight around the goal. He is unafraid, which maybe is a mistake, but he is unafraid of the contact. He obviously is willing to dish it out. And he basically finds a little room. He's in front. Shot comes off. He's right there for the rebound. And his stick is quicker than the defender's stick. Goal. Carolina ties the game at 1. After Great pass by Tomas Hertl, who freed Fabian Zetterlund, who split Slavin and Burns. He came in on Freddie and went blocker side high. Great shot. Nothing you could do about it. But good play. I mean, credit to them. It was their first scoring opportunity of the night. It came like 3.5 minutes in, and it was 1-0 San Jose. But Carolina got right at it on the power play, and it was their third consecutive power play conversion because the last two power plays in Anaheim, they scored on, and they scored on their first one in the first period. So that's the Jarvis first goal. The second Jarvis goal is in some ways going to give him more confidence because it was an actual shot. And Jarvis, because I know you've heard Trip Tracy say it, but I believe it to be true. We talked about it 2 years ago. I'm not sure Seth Jarvis isn't the most natural goal scorer that they've got. And as soon as he starts to get comfortable and it slows down just a little bit more, I think we're going to see a lot of goals from Seth Jarvis. Man, Rod has so much trust in him. And Rod doesn't even, Rod, he doesn't like to praise any. The only person he really loves to praise is Jordan Stahl, maybe because other people don't. But just look at the time on ice. Look at the shorthanded time he's getting. I mean, who knows? He might be a center down the road. Seth Jarvis could end up being a center. Speaking of centers, Teuvo Teravainen played center tonight, and I want to work with me on this one. This is no offense to anybody. It's no offense to Jesperi Kotkaniemi, who I still believe is a third center. Why can't Teuvo be a second center? If you're not going to go out and add another center, especially at the deadline, make Teuvo the second center. He was good in the faceoff circle tonight. He's defensively responsible. He's a natural center anyway. He can play anywhere. He's fine on the wing, but looks like he can play center. But again, it was San Jose. Let's see what happens. Seattle will be a much bigger test, even though they're 0-3-1. Obviously, Colorado will be a bigger test if Aho's not back. Tampa will be a bigger test if Aho is not back. Hopefully, Aho will be back. Aho took the morning skate. He skated with Teravainen on his left and Natchez on his right. But I got word right before the game was about to, right before the, what do we call it? The Storm Watch was supposed to start, that he wasn't going to play. And we're like, wait a second. He took the skate this morning. So as it turns out, whatever happened at the end of the game in Anaheim was just still bothering him to the point where Rod said, nope, we're good. We'll go with 7D. Speaking of, well, let's go through the goals and then we'll get to 7D. And then I'll work in some questions. All right, so the second goal is the Jacob Slavin pick six. So terrible telegraphed pass. I don't even remember who. Not my job to remember San Jose players. Terrible telegraph pass. Slavin just steps in front right at the blue line, goes the other way. And this is how good Blackwood was. He makes a great save on Slavin, but Slavin deposits the rebound. Carolina couldn't beat him clean in the first two periods. Jarvis was a little garbage goal in front, and Slavin's was a rebound of his own missed shot, but Carolina leads 2-1. Unfortunately, 17 seconds after the Slavin goal, Raanta allowed the bad goal to Filip Zadina, who now has 5 goals in 13 games against Carolina. The first 4 goals came with the Detroit Red Wings, 2 of them in one game, I believe. So Slavin's goal is the second goal, just a great defensive play. And then we have to wait all the way to the third period while Mackenzie Blackwood was stopping everything. The save on Michael Bunting in the second period was better than the save on Jordan Martinook in the first period, and maybe better even than the save on Slavin in the third early, which could have tied the game. But Carolina gets to 9:07 on the clock. They're on the power play. And this was, for those people who are Spanish soccer fans, whether you're watching the Spanish national team or Barcelona, there's a lot of little quick passes. Like, I've always marveled at their ability to pass the ball so quickly in tight quarters. And that's what that goal was. Brady was like a triangle. Brady Shea was to the outside of the right faceoff circle, about even with the dot. Jesperi Kotkaniemi was below the goal line, behind the net, not behind the net, but about 10 feet out from the net, maybe less. And Stefan Nason was in the slot just to the right of the goal. And so the triangle just gradually shrunk. And the last pass from Shea to Kotkaniemi was quickly redirected to Nason right in front, and he just tapped it in. I mean, the little passing doesn't get better than that. Again, Kotkaniemi has been, I think, as impressive passing the puck as anything he has done, and he's been pretty good. So that was a great goal. That was the tying goal. And I think once Carolina got the game even, I think we all felt pretty good about it at that point. They were just the better team. So as long as they could stay out of the penalty box, which they couldn't in the second period, we'll get to that, they would probably be fine. And then, about a little less than 3 minutes later, they're back on the power play. Then it was Jarvis, just an absolute bullet from short side, over the glove, just inside the bar. Maybe that's one that Blackwood should have had. Maybe he has to seal the post. It wasn't a sharp angle, but it was basically at the top of the circle, it seemed. Maybe, let's say, 10:30, right? 10:30 if you're looking at it like a clock. And so it's probably a shot that Mackenzie Blackwood wants back, but great shot. Like against Ottawa, I thought that it was more great shot by Tim Stützle rather than bad goal allowed by Freddie Anderson. Both things can be true. Maybe Anderson should have gotten it, but great shot. And I think tonight, maybe Blackwood should have gotten it, but great shot by Seth Jarvis. Then the Natchez goal was, ha, 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 ha. There ain't a lot of players that can do that. I mean, head of steam, down the right, whips it around. Actually, it went off of Blackwood's far pad and in, but I also think that it went off of the inside of the near pad and would have stayed out. So it would have been a save, but it went off his other leg and went in. But still, you get credit for that goal if you're Martin Necas. And then Brett Pesce, at this point, it's like, oh, stop it. It was that good. So Carolina, 4 goals in the third period to win it 6-3. But I'm sure a lot of you were paying attention to that anyway. All right. I'll talk about defense and some other things in a second. All right, let's see if we can go through some questions here. X Svetch. It's probably not Andre. Yeah, was it KK Jarvis breakout season? Like I don't know if we're going to have a breakout from Jesperi Kotkaniemi, but I think we are going to have one from Seth Jarvis. I'd love to say that tonight was the jumping off point, but I would argue that Seth has played exceptionally well in every game, except nobody played well really against the Kings. They just scored some goals. But I think Seth has been excellent and it goes back to last year. It's hard to quantify this because Seth's supposed to be an offensive player, but in more games, he had fewer points, fewer goals, and he was a better player last year than he was as a rookie, a significantly better player. And I guess it's hard to quantify that because he's supposed to score, but my gosh, he was so good last year. And you could tell that Rod was trusting him more and more and more. Like anybody else, if he wasn't producing points and he was supposed to, he would have gone down the lineup, but Seth, that never happened to him. He's a very, very good, complete player. He's just going to get better. By the way, Seth Jarvis's agent is Sebastian Aho's agent. So, good things. Yes, okay. Kotkaniemi did try the Svechnikov. I actually thought Jarvis was going to try it too. Is it an unpopular opinion to not be a fan of the Svechnikov? I think it's such a high risk play that The only way it works is if the other team is asleep. And maybe you catch them asleep. But nobody's falling for it anymore. Notice it hasn't happened since what? It's been 3 years since Fetch did it. There's a reason. It's just too hard to pull off. So I think the opposition has to be asleep. Let's see. From Vince, D is looking better. So can we go back to panicking about the goaltenders again? I'm not entirely sure. Well, tonight there was a dominant game. They had the puck all night, so I don't think you're going to be able to tell anything about the defense. But, and I'm sure somebody has asked this question within the comments, so I'll get to it. For right now, if I were Rod, I would be starting Chatfield over D'Angelo. Now, they may play 7D for a couple of games just because. But I would be playing Chatfield with Dmitry Orlov because of this. I think Orlov is a two-way defender. I don't think he's not an offensive defenseman. He's not a defensive defenseman. He is both. But the offensive instincts that he's got, you don't want to take away. And because that's what he is. And I would rather have Jalen Chatfield playing with him. And this is the way I will put it. I think Chatfield to Orlov, this is like an SAT question, is Slavin to Burns. So, Brent, go do what you do. And Slavin will be there to cover for you. And I think that if Orlov wants to go attack, if he wants to pinch, I'd rather have Chatfield than D'Angelo because you don't know if Tony is going to be pinching at the same time or trying to make an offensive play at the same time. I think they're better with Chatfield than D'Angelo right now. Now, when Orlov gets up to speed, and who knows how long that's going to take, it took Brent Burns about, I'd say, 6 weeks before he was playing well defensively. And, I mean, you can't allow Orlov is not quick enough to erase his own mistakes. That's why you need Chatfield there. That's just my opinion of all of that. As for the goaltending, I've loved Freddie Anderson, but I don't love the fact that he left the game. We'll have to see. Hopefully by tomorrow we'll get some word. But as of right now, I would fully expect Antti Raanta to play in Seattle on Thursday. And the fear there is Anti's given up 2 really bad goals, 1 in each game. Can't get away with that. We talk about it. In the regular season, you can get away with a little bit. In the playoffs, you never get away with it. And so a little concerning so far early in the season. See, I told you that I knew somebody would ask the question. Rob actually talked about Chatfield over D'Angelo. So I get it. And I think a lot of people are on board with the Jalen Chatfield stuff. Will asks about Jack Drury. I think Jack played well tonight. I think Jack needs a goal, right? I think he needs a goal. And there was one sequence, I don't know if it was on the power play or not, but he was in front of the net and a rebound came out to him. But he was not square to the net. He wasn't facing the goal. So he was not able to quickly put a shot on net. If he is in that position, it's a goal, unless Blackwood makes another ridiculous save, which I guess we should have expected. But he needs a goal. If I'm looking at things that Carolina might add at some point, let's say perfectly healthy, Svetch comes back, nobody's out. The one spot that if I were Carolina, I would be looking to add would be a center. Is that a center who can play in your top 6? Somebody to bump Kotkaniemi down? Or is it a veteran depth center who just might be a better option than Jack Drury? So if you're Jack, that fourth line, when everybody's healthy, that fourth line is going to have somebody on it you don't expect. Because I don't think Rod wants to break up Stahl, Martinook, and Fost unless he has to essentially use Martinook as an igniter for another line. So I don't think he wants to break that up, which means that the Drury, Nason, whoever line is going to have to be a line that can score. So I think it's up to Jack to kind of step the offensive part of his game up because he's not going to forget the other things. He's too smart a player. Brad points out the only worry for him at this point is goaltending. I mean, I'm worried about a couple of things. I'm worried about Dmitry Orlov not having the foot speed to necessarily play the same style Carolina's playing. I want to see it first. I am a little bit worried about goaltending. I was more worried about it last year than I was going into this year. The way I saw Freddie play in the preseason and really in 2 games this year, then I'm fine with Freddie. You can look at his numbers and go, oh my gosh, he looks terrible. I thought maybe Freddie was culpable for 1 goal in the Kings game. And again, maybe 1 against Ottawa. But I thought he played exceptionally well in both games. So I'm not worried about Freddie. Auntie's given me some pause at this point. But we'll see. Let's see. Who are we saying hello to? Our guy in Australia, Mikhailov. I have no idea if I said it right. 08. He's there, and I think we got somebody from Perth. Do we really have somebody from Perth, Australia? I think we have 2 Aussies. Can I go oi 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 oi? I don't know. Am I allowed to do that? Anyway, there was a lot of good tonight, but again, the San Jose Sharks are the San Jose Sharks. Let's see what is there anything else that I did not do? Nope. I think that about covers it. Let's see if we can get some other questions here before we must be hard cider. Gregory Davis. Yeah, I still didn't get that. Go check it out. You get a good laugh. And I did find out how they did it. So it explains why the list looks so bad. Hey, I don't even think Sebastian Aho is the 22nd best player in the league. Like, is he better than Braden Point? I don't think so. I think Point's a better player. But they had Aho ahead of Point. It's arguable anyway. But the whole list was kind of weird. A lot of penalties tonight. We're going to get a lot of penalties for a while. There you go. Marty, let's see. Lee from Perth, Western Australia. I'm the real Aussie Caniac, not some guy from Adelaide. Oh, I see. They must know each other. But it's cool. This podcast will be the number one hockey podcast in Australia. Tell all your friends and do us a favor. Gently caress the like button or the subscribe button or whatever it is. And if I'm here tonight, there's a fair chance we're going to be here after every Hurricanes game. There will be some games I don't do, and Dennis Cox will do. And most of the time, I will not be here for those post-game shows, the aftermaths, things like that, and the podcast. But you just never know. That's why you subscribe. And we'll take care of it. With that, it is 2:20. That's plenty. Good win for the Canes. Seattle's going to be a challenge. I think the Kraken are good. I think the Kraken are angry. They are 0-3-1. And Carolina might be a little vulnerable, especially if there's no Sebastian. Oh, one more thing I want to say. Yeah, they need Sebastian Aho back. But we saw bad Tony DeAngelo tonight. I mean, we haven't seen great Tony D yet. But we saw bad Tony D, the Tony D we can't have, and I believe he did not play in the 3rd period, which justified. So the sequence is about a minute and a half before the end of the 2nd period. Tony D is going to, I believe, play defense. and he's skating into the corner, or maybe he's going after the puck, actually. It might have been in the offensive end. I don't even remember now. But the referee accidentally elbows him. It didn't really elbow, it just kind of, they collided, but the referee was in the way. And Tony said something to the referee going past, which, frankly, if I'm the referee and I'm in a player's way and the player chirps at me, unless he calls me something absolutely, ridiculously offensive, like ethnic or something like that, I'm letting it go. This guy's got a job to do. He's trying to get the puck. So Tony chirps at him. The guy gives him 2. And then at the end of the period, Tony skates over to the same guy and, explaining himself, I don't know, gives him 10. Sometimes you just got to take the L. So D'Angelo off the ice for the first 10 minutes of the third period. Rod just didn't see the need. Power play had already clicked. Just didn't see the need. So there you go. Not good, Tony. And if Aho does play on Thursday, I think you'll see Chatfield in the lineup again and Tony D in the press box. But you know me, I love Tony. I love everything about Tony D'Angelo. I love the player. I love the teammate. He's a fun guy to talk to. So there you go. There's my soapbox on Tony D. I was a little disappointed tonight. All right, we'll see everybody Thursday. I thank you very much. The Aluminum Company of North Carolina would love to hear from you if you have home improvement needs. Aluminumcompany.com. Siding, roofing, windows, entry doors, storm doors. Hey, they could take this screened-in porch and enclose it for you. Aluminumcompany.com. I'm Adam Gold. This has been the Canes Corner Podcast. We will see you later.